Hey guys, there have not been very many uploads to the channel lately. However, today I posted in one of the Facebook groups that I'm in, and a question that I've seen numerous times came up, and I thought perhaps it's a good time to do an update. The reason I haven't done any updates till now is honestly my memory on my device is absolutely maxed out. We don't have any editing software at this time, and so it feels like that's all pretty rough footage. So we've got a lot of footage saved of the farm build as we've been going, what the year is like, but we want to compile those and make them something more useful. However, a question came up. I realized I was giving documents to my accountant yesterday and realized that I had made an oversight over the course of the year ordering through Amazon and just doing whole orders that included farm supplies. So I, was like, good grief, I hope I'm never audited simply because I don't want the IRS to know, like, my bra size. Which is, like, things are together in the cart. And so at any rate, I posted that as a PSA. Like, PSA, if you're doing your accounting, I didn't, here's what I did for a year by mistake. And when I looked back, realized, whoa. And when I did, I got a question that I've seen frequently, which is, you're doing account for the farm. Like, how does that work? And I realized, I've got a business admin degree. And I take that for granted. And obviously I can't sum up everything in the 4-year degree. Sorry, boo. Didn't mean to pull your hair.
It's fine. Also, the rest of it is audible, which means it helps voice, but this isn't, so I'm gonna...
You're gonna read a minute? Okay. And I take some of those things for granted. I also have a Berkey puppy. And I don't have audio editing or any form of editing, so I apologize in advance. But I wanted to answer those questions in a brief format, if possible. The short answer is, if you intend to sell any product, if you're in the process and you're actively building that. So this year, for example, we didn't have any profits. I certainly hope that by next year we've got at least revenue, but we didn't have any profits this year. We're still building. It's still a farm because the intention is to sell, produce and hopefully some dairy products. We're planning on planting mushrooms this year. And because that is the intention and it's in the building, that is a part of the business. So the majority of businesses do not turn, the majority of businesses do not turn a profit until at least, they don't turn a profit until at least 3 years on average. And many businesses don't turn a profit until 5 years. A lot of businesses haven't incorporated enough capital to get them through that phase. And that is why the biggest failure rate is in businesses between 3 to 5 years. And I don't know the exacts, because one of my messages here is that an accountant is absolutely worth their weight in gold. Their fees are not as exorbitant as people might think, and nor is it, I'm guessing it's probably a little bit more. We have not moved to LLC yet, but I'm guessing it's a little bit more for a lawyer. It's still not, it's not like you're filing for divorce. Your fees are not going to be as bad, at least for the average business, and I'm certain not for a firm. I'll update you on that when I contact a lawyer and get that started. I just wanted to give a summary of that because so many people have questions about that. So again, with the accounting, we just pay our accountant. We've had him do our taxes for a number of years. Do be certain that you have an accountant who's a fiduciary. That means that they've, taken an oath and they've done all of the financial training. And the oath is that they are going to look out for their clients' financial best interests. And that's pretty important because you can get financial advisors who are really looking for a way to, siphon stuff off of you. And you don't want that. But even so, our accountant is very affordable. Ah, Teddy. Teddy, leave it. Teddy. He's chewing plastic. Teddy, leave it. Good boy. Come here. Come here. That's a good boy. Have to do puppy training right in the middle because I don't have editing. So start with an accountant. Your two best friends in any business are an accountant and a lawyer. We, send our paperwork to our accountant once a year. And when it comes to the lawyer, honestly, hopefully you're literally just using them to set up your LLC. But somebody asked, do you have to be an LLC to file taxes as a farm? No, those are two different things. LLC stands for Limited Liability Corporation. You can have sole proprietorship, you can have dual proprietorship, you can have family proprietorship, you can have limited liability corporation, and then there's additional forms of corporation. The limited liability corporation is for small businesses, and what it does is creates a legal boundary between you and the business. So say, for example, I've got a buck out there. He is as gentle as a puppy dog. I've never even had him flex his neck and look like he might charge me. The thing about bucks is that they're going to be in your herd typically, unless you've got a huge herd. You're usually going to have your buck for a couple years because you need new genetic material. Give it a few years and the majority of the animals on the ground are going to be related to him. So let's say that in 2 years, his name is Albrick. I sell Albrick, and babies could handle him. But what if he goes to a home where they're abusive and he feels the need to defend himself? And so he runs at them and headbutts them and he breaks somebody's knee. Well, if they... Teddy, honey, if they claim that I didn't tell them that he was dangerous and then they try to bring a suit against me, it's against me personally if I am a sole proprietor. So as sole proprietor, I am the business. Whereas if I am an LLC, if the business is an LLC, there's a legally established boundary between me as a person and the business as its own entity. Teddy, you're making this impossible. As such, then they're suing the business. And so it just creates a boundary between you, where you, the person, end, and where the business itself picks up. I highly recommend it if you're into anything that has any form of liability, which is pretty much everything. And the degree of liability is going to have something to do with how complex that is for your lawyer and therefore the fees. But it's worth it because if, again, Albrick is as gentle and docile as they get, but say somebody mistreats him and now he's acting up, they could still come after me and at the very least cost me so much money that I could lose things. I could lose my home. I could lose the property. With the LLC, could the farm still go under? Yes. But can I lose my home? No. So that's important to know. Note, that doesn't mean that you're 100% non-liable. I knew somebody who was training a kids show pony that was absolutely downright dangerous. Now, in that scenario, they knew it. They thought it was funny that he was so dangerous. So there were enough people around who saw that they were doing that if a child got injured by them and the court came back, then yes, the parents and the child would be entitled to restitution by law, and the court can make that restitution so large that you'll still lose your home. So don't think that removes all liability, because gross negligence is still gross negligence. Obviously, don't be selling somebody an animal that is dangerous without explicitly writing that down. You can still, people sell bulls who are out to kill anything they see, but put it in writing contract, in law, they say your word is as good as the paper it's printed on. keep that in mind, put it in writing. At that point, as long as you've said so and the other party has signed saying they know so, that's not gross negligence. But in the case of this pony, where they were literally intending to sell him as a kids show pony, that is gross negligence. So it's not a get off the hook card, but it creates a clear line between you and the business. Back to the accounting, back to, can you file farm taxes or business taxes? Are you intending to sell a product? If so, yes, everything that goes into that is a part of the business entity, and that's taxes, not, you don't have to file some kind of, special paperwork before you can do that. Now, that said, farms are exempt from taxes, so if you're farming, you're still going to want to, there's forms for that. Again, your accountant will know what the form is, and then you fill it out and turn it back, and you take that same form and you take it to the farm supplies, and at that point you're tax exempt. You are tax exempt for farming activities because that eventually goes into the food stream. So if they tax things going into the production of food, they're taxing the food. And in the US, we don't tax the food system. So yes, there are still forms if you're filing as a farm that you're going to want to get filed. But like we started September of 2020 is when we bought the property. And that was the first farm business transaction. So we didn't have those paper filings yet. And, we're at the end of this year. Now we're filing those forms as we file our taxes. So yes, you do eventually need to get those things together. The sooner you do, the sooner you're getting tax exemption on the farm, inputs, which is important to you on a day-to-day operating. But you don't have to have those things already done to file taxes if your intention is to sell a product and you were doing activities to get you there. That's business activity. There is a point, several states, I don't know, and this is where I'm going to tell you. I don't know the exacts because this is what an accountant knows. There is a point at which you need to be claiming revenue. So that's not the same as profit. Revenue is, I had income from this. Maybe I had expenses that exceeded that, but you have revenue. There is a point at which, if you haven't claimed any revenue in, and that's where I don't know how many years. And I think that varies by state. So maybe one state requires 3 years, maybe one state requires 5 years, maybe another one requires 7. That's what I don't know. Your accountant is so worth it because that varies by state. It varies by the kind of business you're running, etc. Those are the things your accountant is worth their weight in gold for, and then some. There's other reasons your accountant is worth it, but at some point, yes, you do have to be showing revenue because that shows that you're actually selling product to consumers, and that's not the same as turning a profit. So some businesses are, I believe, required to turn a profit within a certain amount of time. Others are simply required to show revenue, and those are the kind of things that your accountant is going to know. And on a farm, you may not be selling food. You might be selling wool products, right? Those are taxable. Whole different ball of wax. So again, your accountant, your lawyer are absolutely your best friends. It's not as overwhelming as it comes across feeling in the mainstream. A lot of people feel like, oh, that's just, that's insurmountable. That's so much. It's less headache than a divorce is. I've gone through a divorce. I've filed taxes. It's so much less headache than that. But yes, I do have to go through and find every one of my receipts. The receipts I don't find, I'm not going to be able to claim. So keep your expense reports monthly. At any rate, if people are more interested, there's obviously a lot more to say. I did a 4-year degree in it, so obviously that wasn't something I can sum up in a 15-minute video. and I don't want to bore you all with details, but list questions below, because I'm happy to answer what I do know, and happy to tell you what I don't know and where I would go, because there is no business owner out there who knows every deal. They don't know everything out there whatsoever, and that's what your accountant is for, that's what your lawyer is for, and that's why bigger businesses wind up with multiple employees, and several of those employees are specific knowledge in specific places that the owner themselves is not strong in. So I want to give everybody a sense of empowerment, that it is as doable as the average job. You can be a business, you can turn a profit on a farm and deal with puppies licking your noses while you do videos. And it's not easy, but it's not as difficult as, if you can help goats birth cat, yeah, no, you can't. If you can help goats birth kids, you can absolutely manage the farm business aspect of it. And on that, this puppy is going wild. I'm going to call it.